Welcome to StoryWise English. Today we're diving back into the enchanting world of the Jataka Tales, ancient stories filled with wisdom and lessons for life. Let's see what we can learn from these timeless tales, both in life and in English.
Beauty and Brownie. Two deer, named Beauty and Brownie, lived with their father and mother and great herds of deer in a forest. One day their father called them to him and said, "The deer in the forest are always in danger when the corn is ripening in the fields. It will be best for you to go away for a while, and you must each take your own herd of deer with you." "What is the danger, father?" they asked. "When the deer go into the fields to eat the corn, they get caught in the traps the men set there," the father said. "Many deer are caught in these traps every year." "Will you go away with us?" Brownie said. "No, your mother and I, and some of the other old deer will stay here in the forest," said the father. "There will be food enough for us, but there is not enough for you and your herds. You must lead your herds up into the high hills where there is plenty of food for you, and stay there until the crops are all cut. Then you can bring your herds back here. But you must be careful. You must travel by night, because the hunters will see you if you go by day. And you must not take your herd near the villages where hunters live." So Beauty and Brownie and their herds set out. Beauty traveled at night and did not go near any villages, and at last brought his herd safely to the high hills. Not a single deer did Beauty lose, but Brownie forgot what his father had said. Early each morning he started off with his herd, going along all through the day. When he saw a village, he led his herd right past it. Again and again hunters saw the herd, and they killed many of the deer in Brownie's herd. When crops had been cut, the deer started back to the forest. Beauty led all his herd back, but careless Brownie traveled in the daytime, and again he took his herd past the villages. When he reached the forest, only a few were left of all Brownie's herd. The end.
Grammar focus, understanding commands and reported speech. The father gives important advice to Beauty and Brownie. Let's examine how commands are given and how they are reported. Direct command. You must travel by night because the hunters will see you if you go by day. This is an imperative sentence with strong advice. Reported command. The father told them to travel by night and avoid villages to stay safe. Note how the verb changes to told and the command becomes an infinitive, to travel. Vocabulary building. Words for nature and danger. Herd. A group of animals, such as deer. Example. Beauty led his herd safely to the high hills. Trap. A device used to catch animals. Example. Deer get caught in the traps the men set. Crop. Plants grown for food like corn. Example. The deer stayed away until the crops were cut. Idioms and expressions. The story conveys lessons that can be expressed through idioms. Look before you leap. Think carefully before taking action. Context. Brownie's careless choices led to disaster for his herd. Play it safe. Avoid unnecessary risks. Context. Beauty's cautious approach ensured the safety of his herd. Learn the hard way. To understand something only after making mistakes. Context. Brownie learned the importance of caution too late. Writing insights. Cause and effect. The story demonstrates cause and effect relationships. Because Beauty followed his father's advice, he kept his herd safe. Since Brownie ignored the warnings, many deer in his herd were killed. Moral vocabulary and phrases. Heed advice. To listen carefully and follow guidance. Beauty heeded his father's advice and ensured safety for his herd. Face the consequences. To accept the results of one's actions. Brownie faced the consequences of ignoring warnings. Lead by example. To set a good example for others to follow. Beauty's leadership showed the importance of caution. Comparing and contrasting. Beauty versus Brownie. The story uses comparison to highlight the differences in their behavior. Beauty was cautious and traveled at night, while Brownie was careless and traveled during the day. Keep these lessons in mind as you reflect on both the story and your English learning journey.
The Merchant of Seri. There was once a merchant of Seri who sold brass and tinware. He went from town to town with another man who also sold brass and tinware. This second man was greedy. When they went into a town, they divided the streets between them. Each man went up and down the streets he had chosen, calling, "Tinware for sale, brass for sale." People came out to their doorsteps and bought or traded with them. In one house there lived a poor old woman and her granddaughter. The family had once been rich, but now the only thing they had left of all their riches was a gold bowl. The grandmother did not know it was a gold bowl, but she had kept this because her husband used to eat out of it in the old days. It stood on a shelf among the other pots and pans and was not often used. The greedy merchant passed this house calling, "Buy my water jars, buy my pans." The granddaughter said, "Oh, grandmother, do buy something for me." "My dear," said the old woman, "we are too poor to buy anything. I have not anything to trade even." "Grandmother, see what the merchant will give for the old bowl. We do not use that, and perhaps he will take it and give us something we want for it." The old woman called the merchant and showed him the bowl, saying, "Will you take this, sir, and give the little girl here something for it?" The greedy man took the bowl and scratched its side with a needle. Thus he found that it was a gold bowl. He hoped he could get it for nothing, so he said, "What is this worth? Not even a halfpenny." He threw the bowl on the ground and went away. Soon after, the other merchant passed the house, for it was agreed that either merchant might go through any street which the other had left. He called, "Buy my water jars, buy my tinware, buy my brass." The little girl heard him and begged her grandmother to see what he would give for the bowl. "My child," said the grandmother, "the merchant who was just here threw the bowl on the ground and went away. I have nothing else to offer in trade." "But, grandmother," said the girl, "that was a bad-tempered man. This one looks pleasant. Ask him. Perhaps he'll give me a little tin dish." "Call him then, and show it to him," said the old woman. As soon as the merchant took the bowl in his hands, he knew it was of gold. He said, "All that I have here is not worth so much as this bowl. It is a gold bowl. I am not rich enough to buy it." "But, sir, a merchant who passed here a few moments ago threw it on the ground, saying it was not worth a halfpenny, and he went away," said the grandmother. "It was worth nothing to him. If you value it, take it, and give the little girl some dish she likes for it." But the merchant would not do that. He gave the woman all the money he had, and all his wares. "Give me just 8 pennies," he said. So he took the pennies and left. Going quickly to the river, he paid the boatman the 8 pennies to take him across the river. Soon the greedy merchant went back to the house where he had seen the gold bowl and said, "Bring that bowl to me, and I will give you something for it." "No," said the grandmother, "you said the bowl was worthless, but another merchant has paid a great price for it and taken it away. It is a gold bowl." Then the greedy merchant was angry, crying out, "I have lost a small fortune because of this other man. That bowl was gold." He ran down to the riverside, and, seeing the other merchant in the boat out in the river, he called, "Hello, boatman, stop your boat." But the man in the boat said, "Don't stop." So he reached the city on the other side of the river, and lived well for a time on the money the bowl brought him. The end.
Vocabulary building. Words related to trade and character. Merchant. A person who buys and sells goods. Example, the merchants sold tinware and brass in different towns. Trade, to exchange one item for another. Example, the grandmother asked what the merchant would give in trade for the gold bowl. Greedy, wanting more than what is fair or needed. Example, the greedy merchant tried to take the gold bowl for nothing. Honest, being truthful and fair. Example, the honest merchant gave all his money and goods in exchange for the bowl. Grammar focus, reporting past actions. This story involves many actions and conversations that are narrated in the past tense. Let's explore how actions are reported. Direct speech. The greedy merchant said, "What is this worth? Not even a halfpenny." Reported speech. The grandmother told the honest merchant that the other man had said the bowl was worthless and threw it on the ground. Idioms and phrases. In context, this story teaches moral lessons that can be expressed through idioms. Honesty is the best policy. Being truthful is always the right choice. Context, the honest merchant gained trust and prosperity because of his fairness. Penny wise, pound foolish. Being careful with small things but missing bigger opportunities. Context, the greedy merchant's attempt to save money cost him a fortune. What goes around comes around. Actions, whether good or bad, eventually return to the doer. Context, the honest merchant's integrity led to success, while the greedy one lost out. Comparing character traits. This story contrasts the honest merchant and the greedy merchant. Use these comparisons to describe character traits. The greedy merchant was deceitful and undervalued the bowl, while the honest merchant was fair and paid its true worth. The honest merchant gained prosperity because of his actions, but the greedy merchant ended up with nothing. Learning tip. Use while, but unlike and whereas to create similar contrasts in writing or speaking. Cultural connection. Stories that teach values. Many cultures have stories like The Merchant of Seri, where they teach life lessons through relatable characters and situations, and emphasize timeless values such as honesty, fairness, and generosity. Learning tip. Think of a story from your culture that teaches a similar lesson. Try telling it in English. Whether in life or in learning English, integrity always leads to success. Keep practicing your English by exploring stories like this, and remember to reflect on their lessons. Thank you for joining us at StoryWise English. See you next time.